KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
Good morning, it's the Workers Beat. I'm Gene Lantz. I'm here with Bonnie Mathias.
Good morning.
Bonnie. And Sister Linda Chavez-Thompson of the AF-of-LCIO. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning. I'm so proud to be here today.
Well, we're so proud to have you, I can tell you that. Just so everybody will know, this is the ceiling breaker who actually went through the glass ceiling in the labor movement and became the first woman to break into the top tier of labor leadership in America. Is that not true?
Oh, please, I'm blushing already.
It is true, though.
Yeah, it sure shows
Yes,
up
it
real
is
good on
true,
radio.
but I was the first and not the last. We have
You're the
so many
first.
more women that have followed since my break into the labor movement.
But somebody had to break through that glass ceiling, and it was you. That was in 1995, was it not?
I did it in English and Spanish, too.
Oh,
And wearing heels.
wearing heels
And dancing backwards.
That's right. That's right.
That's terrific. And now your title? Emeritus?
I am Executive Vice President Emerita of the National AFL-CIO, and I retired in September of 2007. And for the past 5.5 years, I've been retired and working full-time every single day.
Yeah, they won't let you retire.
Well, I've tried to retire about 10 times, and they won't let me.
Mm-hmm. I don't think activists ever truly retire.
It's in your gut. You're going to fight till you're 6 feet under.
That's
I'll tell you
right,
that for
till
sure.
your dying breath.
So we're glad and happy to have Linda Chavez-Thompson today, and you can call and ask questions or make comments at 972-647-1893. Couple of announcements. Wednesday, January the 30th is a National Action Day. Why? Because there's just one emergency after another one, but the emergency that this one here is about is the fiscal crisis, which has been going on. It is expected to continue. Don't think for a minute that this is over. So for Wednesday, January the 30th, here in North Texas, what we're going to do is attend a town hall meeting with Congressman Jeb Henserling, District 5 in East Dallas and Mesquite and Points East, and he will be holding his town hall meeting at 333 South Farm Road 548 in Forney. You go out Highway 30, a little ways out of town, past the loop, out past 635, and you get to Farm Road 548. You turn right, so you'll be going south off of Highway 80, and that's where it is. It's a municipal building at 331 South Farm Road 548 in Forney, Texas. That'll be at 4:15 on Wednesday. Now I want to caution people a little bit about this because I'm helping organize people to go to this thing. We are not going out there to misbehave in some way. We're not going out there to try to break up the meeting or set fire to something or something.
Man, Gene,
now we're disappointing Bonnie.
You take all the fun out of everything.
We're going to go out there. We're going to listen to Representative Henserling, and when the question and answer session of the town hall meeting comes, we hope to ask him questions about the fiscal crisis and what kind of solutions he has. Hopefully he doesn't still think that the way to solve the fiscal crisis is to cut poor people, because in the past his program has been to cut poor people and especially retirees.
And help those job creators.
And help the what they call job creators, which is the filthy rich people that are sitting on $3 trillion already, and give them some more money. Because as you know, the Republican program is basically that if you give a lot of money to rich people, it will make poor people happy.
And that's that trickle-down theory that we've heard about for so many years.
So that's at 4:15 on Wednesday, 331 South Farm Road, 548. And this is the last week. Tomorrow will be the last day to ask for scholarships for the Texas AFL-CIO. That's for high school seniors, members of affiliated unions. The Texas Lobby Day for Senior Lobby Day is still going to be February the 12th. Here's the number if you're willing to go or able to go. You don't have to be a senior to do this. Anybody can do it. The number is 214-729-0063. 214-729-0063. Free buses to Austin, free lunch when we get there, and a rally for the right to retire in America. And this ought to concern everybody. I don't care if you're only 6 years old. You're going to get old someday, and you're going to wish that they had the right to retire in America. So Senior Lobby Day is coming up on February the 12th. On February the 20th, another National Day of Action. And I'm supposed to have the telephone numbers for you to call, but I don't. Maybe somebody will call in with that, 972-647-1893. Usually the AFL-CIO sets up a telephone number so we can call for free and call Congress and tell them what we think. Sister Linda Chavez-Thompson, are people from San Antonio going to go to Senior Lobby Day?
We've got actually 12 people that are signed up. And this is the first time for our retirees chapter in San Antonio to do this. I'm really proud of that. I'm also proud of the fact that Judy Bryant was our guest speaker at the San Antonio AFL-CIO Council and at the retirees meeting this week. And she really brought it home, made the impact on the retirees that this is about us. It is about the future of the things that we enjoy now. And she so aptly put it. We don't want to be the last generation of Americans who retires on Social Security. There should be some form and fashion of dignity and respect for people who have worked all their lives and depend on not just a pension possibly from work, although that's getting more and more rare nowadays, but also that our support system is still in place for all of those that come after us. So our retirees are going 12 strong to San Antonio, Texas, and I'm very proud of that.
That's cool.
I must say, and you mentioned Judy Bryant, that's her phone number I just gave out a while ago. She's organizing the fight to save the right to retire in America, which is being taken away from us by dribbles and by big grabs by people like Congressman Jeb Hensarling. And so her telephone number, again, if you want to fight for the right to retire in America, call up Judy Bryant at 214-729-0063. I want to give a big shout out to Communication Workers of America for all the great work that they're doing. Their president is going around all over the country speaking out. There was a time when union leaders kind of kept in the background, you know. But we've got one of the top union leaders right here with us on KNON today, Linda Chavez-Thompson.
That's right.
So they are getting out. And one of the big issues that the communication workers is pushing, and my own union, the auto workers and other unions are pushing to try to reform the Senate, to try to get it so that the Senate can actually do stuff instead of being held under the tyranny of a minority. If you have a question or comment about this, it's 972-647-1893. Linda, any comment about this?
I just want to make one comment. I cannot tell you how grateful I am for the support of the CWA in all of the work that I've ever done, and the support and actually the kind of activities and the kind of participation they have here in the state of Texas. Claude Cummings is a very dear friend of mine, and if he had not stepped up and helped us in San Antonio, I don't know what we would have done, because at the last minute, we needed, 3 weeks before the election, we needed some financial help to pull in Congressional District 23. Claude Cummings was there, CWA was there, they helped us with some of the fundraising that I was able to do, and we pulled it off. We have a new congressman out of that district who actually believes that there should be a safe and secure Social Security system, that there should be a safety net for workers all across this country. Pete Gallego was elected. He beat out Kiko Canseco, and I can't tell you how proud I am of CWA, how proud I am of the work that Claude Cummings and his assistant Sylvia Garcia have done. And I'm sorry, you're right. I'm thinking of Houston instead. Sylvia Ramos. She absolutely is tenacious. She is diligent, and she couldn't have a better boss than Claude Cummings. So I want to praise Claude for that and for supporting the efforts that you're making here. And of course, I want to say to Eugene, I can't think of anybody better than to be doing this and sacrificing your own time in doing this, because the message that labor has, the message that people need to do is, you know what? We don't care if you carry a union card or not. If you're a worker, you're a worker, you're a worker. And all of the things that happen today seems to be targeting working people and their families. And
cutting us.
I, for one, will just literally go to my grave, still fighting the fight, but we also need people such as the ones that may be listening today, or the ones that you can listen to and reach out to, helping us with this fight.
People like Michael, who's waiting to talk. Let's bring Michael on. Good morning, Michael. Thanks for calling KNON.
Hey, friend. Long time no see.
Yes, sir.
I think I see a coalition that would be most fruitful for all the welfare, an attempt across the KNON Action Network to go to the Beyond Bows and Arrows and the Idle No More. Are you aware of I didn't mean to get off subject, but I see a way to coordinate all of our actions. If we're going to work, let's work on something healthy. Are you aware of the Idle No More action?
No, go ahead. Tell us about it.
It began in the higher latitudes of the First Nations speaking up against, it turned out to be that pipeline was the last straw in the camel's back. The degradation of her earth had become worse and worse, and now it has extended to, there are some young children in Dallas that would appreciate some nurturing. The main person is Jody, Jodi, Zoice. It's all coordinated through KNON, Beyond Bows and Arrows, from 6 to 8 on Sundays. And I'm attempting to get as many other people to hear that this can be a holistic and a healthy. I just am trying to encourage the working to look into that.
Thanks so much, Michael. Appreciate it.
Are you aware of the Idle No More at this time?
I am now. Thanks so much, Michael. That's great. Thank you for calling KNON. Other people want to call, it's 972-647-1893.
You know, Labor had some really good news this week in Texas.
What's the good news, Bonnie?
Labor membership, union membership in the state of Texas is at 10%.
No, it's 10% higher.
10% higher. I'm sorry.
We went up 10%
We went up
from
10%.
where it was.
Yeah, and I mean, Texas is a right-to-work state, so that really means a lot. I think we're still at about 7.8% or something like that nationwide, but that's a big step for Texas.
Nationwide, it went down a little bit, slightly, and went up slightly in Texas. Linda, would you care to comment?
One of the things that I want to point out, and I do this and have done it all across the country because I served in the position of Executive Vice President for 12 years, and I always tell people that I know how hard it is to get a union, keep a union going, but I've told them when those efforts that you make are at least covered by collective bargaining agreements, the right to organize, the right to strike. People take some of those things for granted. And I've told them many, many times that in Texas, it almost takes double the effort, not only to organize, not only to get a union contract, but especially for public employees who have no right to strike. They have no right to do anything other than just be represented by a union, right. Which, of course, I represented as the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. But the fact that Texas has grown by 10% says to the rest of the country that we have to work a little bit harder than everybody else. Of course, we realize that several of our real strong union states like Wisconsin, Minnesota, Indiana, Ohio have taken big hits, especially with public employees and the Republicans who are bashing us in those states. But I'm really proud of that 10% increase because, you know what? It took double the effort here in Texas just to build that 10%, and I cannot be prouder.
Is there pretty good organizing going on in San Antonio, where you live?
There's some organizing. AFT is doing some organizing in the Northeast Independent School District.
That's the teachers.
That's the teachers' union. And we have some of the unions, like the bakery and confectionery unions. The plumbers and pipe fitters are doing their own on-the-ground organizing. And many of the unions are doing internal organizing. Mm-hmm. They are doing their own thing within their group to get those people signed
internal
up.
organizing means where
there's already
you have a bunch of people in the shop that's supposed to be in the union, but they haven't been.
And those are CWA, of course, always does that. And so we perhaps have not gained as much, but we're on the road to doing that with some of the unions that are really active in that.
972-647-1893 is the number if you need to call, or if you want to make a comment or a question to Linda Chavez-Thompson or Bonnie Mathias or even me. The Bureau of Labor Statistics released these figures showing that Texas union membership had gone up some, and they also said that it's still true that you make a lot more money if you tend to be in unions than if you don't. The average wage was $742. I think that's a weekly wage, was $742. That's nationwide. And the average wage for union members was 200 and something more than that. It was $943 per week, $200 difference.
And Gene, one of the other things that needs to also be pointed out is there is a major difference. I'm not quite sure the percentages or anything or the dollar numbers, but when what women earn in a union job versus a non-union job, the same thing with Hispanics, if they're in a union job versus a non-union job, African Americans, any minority, and by predominance, of course, here in Texas, it may be Latinos. But the point here is that if you've got a union job, you're going to get more money. You're going to get better benefits. You may also get a job that actually has a pension. Many of the jobs that we have and that are created nowadays do not have pension plans. Right. They actually have whoopee, a 401k, where they let you save your own money to retire instead of the company providing a pension plan for you. So in America and in Texas, it's like we've taken steps backwards.
Certainly.
I'm hoping that people will begin to get the message that if you join a union, if you want a union, you need to be an activist, and you need to say, I want a better life for myself, I want a better life for my family, my children, a future that gives me respect on the job and pays me as well.
So you're arguing for activism whether a person is a member of a union or not, because we can't sit on our tails and wait to see what they're going to do to us next, because it's already clear. The handwriting's on the wall. They're going to cut you. They're going to take away from you. They're going to take away your pension. They're going to lower your salary. They're going to take away your health care. Everybody knows that, including union members, because we've been hit too.
And one of the other things is that don't just sit on your como se llama and don't do anything, okay? People such as yourself, people such as Bonnie, already activists, already people who care, already giving up their time, already doing everything that they can. They can't do this alone. No. It's got to take more people caring more, and it'll make your job, it'll make Bonnie's job, it'll make the union leader's job easier when they have their own membership. Say, I can give an hour, I can give 2 hours, right. I can help do something that's going to make life better, not just for yourself. Be a little selfish. Be a little selfish. We realize that that getting a good union contract and getting a little bit better wage is wonderful. So be active. Don't be shy. Be a loud mouth like me. Give an opinion like me. Nobody can shut me up, okay?
Okay, well, we have to take into account, though, that you're kind of a giant of a woman. And we'll be right back.
Yeah, all 5 foot of me.
There's a machine sitting in its place. I turned around and I asked my boss.
Tune in every Saturday morning for KNON Speak Up Saturdays. Speak Up Saturday starts at 7 a.m. with an expanded church information and forum hosted by Reverend Marion Barnett, a news and politics show for you. Then at 9 a.m., it's The Workers' Beat hosted by Gene Lantz, sponsored by the CWA, a show for workers' rights. At 10 a.m., the Dallas Observer presents Jim Schutz, Get off my lawn with the other side of the news. Wrapping up Speak Up Saturdays at 11 a.m. is Lambda Weekly with David Taffet, the longest-running LGBTQ talk show in the country. Be sure to tune in every Saturday morning to Speak Up Saturdays right here on Knon 89.3 FM, the voice of the people.
Would you help the world to burn?
This is Sonny Boy Mark, and I'd like to take a minute here to tell you about over 60 minutes of great blues listening available now on KNON's Texas Blues Radio Volume 5 Blues CD. This is some great stuff, folks. 15 tracks from the Two Tones, Blues Boy Bo, Buddy Whittington, Andrea Dawson, Kirkland James, Sonny Colley, Johnny Red and the Roosters, the Chris Watson Band, the Rough Cut Blues Band, Jeff Stone with Charlie Love, David Millsap, Sir Loin and the Ass Kicking Machine, Michael J. and the Paul Bird Band, and JJ and the Detonators. The 1,000 copies we made are selling fast, and we won't reissue it. Get yours now at Forever Young Records in Grand Prairie, Record Town in Fort Worth, and in Dallas at Bill's Records and Rewind Music. The CD is available as a download at cdbaby.com. All proceeds benefit KNON, sponsored by Forever Young Records. Vinyl copies available at Forever Young Records only. For more info on Texas Blues Radio Volume 5, visit knon.org. Your ears been bending for some blues? Well, feed them the real thing with Texas Blues Radio Volume 5.
Sonny Bryan's Catering presents the 14th annual KNON Blues Festival this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, at Poor David's Pub. Join us for the biggest blues event of the year, starring the Royal Rhythmaires, Bobby Patterson, Blues Boy Bo, the Aaron Burton Band, Andrew Jr. Boy Jones featuring Terry LaPie, Pete Barbeck and Seventh Son, Bonafide Blues, the Deep Ellum Rhythm Kings, the Dallas Blues All-Stars featuring Hash Brown and Mike Morgan, the KNON Blues Review with Blue Lisa, Sonny Boy Mark, Greg A. Smith, Jeff Stone, and me, J-Mac. Big Charles Young, the Drew Lane Band with special guest Sir Loin, and the Super Kings. This is the big one. You never know who's going to show up as a special guest. Don't miss out on this huge blues show. Advance tickets are only $15 and are still available at knon.org, Bill's Records in Dallas, and Forever Young in Grand Prairie. See you this weekend at the 14th annual KNON Blues Festival, presented by Sonny Bryan's Catering.
You have to work like a slave all day. But this ain't Monday.
No, this is Saturday.
We never get to that part of the song where he talks about how much he loves Saturday.
Aren't we supposed to be resting and sleeping late on Saturday mornings?
Wouldn't it be nice?
What are we doing here? What are we doing here? We're actually wanting people to participate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We've got Jim Davis on the line. Thanks for waiting, and thanks for calling KNON, Jim. Good morning. Did we lose him?
Good morning, Jim.
Jim Davis.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now.
That's good. Hey, I want to make I have a question and a comment.
Okay, talk directly into your phone now because you're kind of breaking up.
Okay, what percentage of Texas workers that have a bargaining agreement are so-called freeloaders? Do you have any idea?
Okie doke. Good question, Jim. Thanks. What we mean by freeloaders in Texas is the people that should be in the union, that belong in a union shop, they're getting union pay, and they're getting union benefits. Their steward takes care of them. They help arbitrate them. They protect them from being fired. They protect them from being lost, and yet they don't pay dues. There's people like that in Texas. There is. And the nice word is freeloaders. What percentage of them are there? Does anybody know? I can tell you one thing about my own shop. Because in 1984, when we got into terrible, terrible trouble and the company tried to break us, the company tried to take away all our health care benefits, our drug benefits, and our COLA raises. They basically tried to smash the union in 1984. And we were sitting around with 30%
Organized?
Scabs. 30% of the people that should have been in the union were not in the union, and the union was just coasting along, taking it easy. This is in the old days, before Linda Chavez-Thompson came around. In the old days, people got very, very, very comfortable with the way things were, and said, you know, why should I rock the boat? Because I'm making a good living. So we had 30% scabs in 1984. By the time the fight was over, we had people had gotten behind on paying their dues, and it got really, really, really terrible, so really, really drastic. And when the fight was over, we organized what we call the organizing committee, and we brought the number of freeloaders down to 8%.
Well, that's great.
And at that point, the union kicked in what they call the orientation committee. The orientation committee would talk to all new members, and they didn't just wait and let the stewards do it. Every new member, according to the contract, had to go to a union orientation meeting, and they brought it up now, and I think it's at my shop around 97%.
That's excellent.
Jim, this is Linda Chavez-Thompson. We have worked very hard at the National AFL-CIO, and they continue to work very hard to get the national unions, the international unions, to do more about the orientation type internal organizing, because that is so key. I mean, we're talking about people who are already enjoying the benefits of a union negotiated contract. So that has been very effective with some of the unions. AFT is one of them, CWA is another one, UAW, of course, the Machinist Union, many of these major unions. But in all honesty, ever since the economic slump, a lot of the unions have had to lay off people or not fill positions, and so something has to take a back seat. I think now with the economy doing a little bit better, I think some of the unions are going to bring back more and more of those positions so that unions can do their own internal organizing. And I'm hopeful that that will help to bring our numbers up, even though nationwide we did lose some big states with union contracts this past year.
Let's continue this thought in a minute, but Bonnie has a special note that she'd like to bring us this morning.
Long-time listener, dear friend of 30 years, passed away this week, Mr. Mike Cook. He was one of the hardest working, kindest men I believe I've ever known. My heart goes out to his wife and his girls. They know that I love them and I'm there for them. Mike was an awesome guy, and I'm going to dedicate the second portion of this show to Mike Cook, because he was one of the best.
Bonnie, may he rest in peace.
Yes,
thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you who have been supporting KNON for all this time. Now, we were talking, Linda, about, it sort of came up, about the way the union movement used to be and the way it is now. And I always tell people that the gigantic turnaround in the AFL-CIO occurred in 1995. So you were there, you were part of it. Is it not true? Am I telling people the truth or not?
When John Sweeney and Richard Trumpka and I ran for office, the main theme was that we wanted to change how the AFL-CIO did the work in this country. But we also wanted to make it look like the membership that it represented. And for the longest time, over and over again, women and people of color were not in the top positions of the AFL-CIO. They were not in the top positions of national unions. And for the most part, women were not at the highest level of that movement. So when we came in, there was specific attention paid to mobilizing people of color, mobilizing women, making sure that they knew that not only was I their representative as a major changeover, but we have done that. We now have more officers at national levels that are African American, Latinos, Latinas. Just the other day, Tuesday, I left the position of vice chair of the Democratic Party, and another woman, Maria Elena Durazo with Unite Here, is now replacing me, and there's no way to replace me, of course, and I'm not saying because I'm better than anybody, but Maria Elena brings her own leadership, her own activism, her own down-in-the-street, gutty attitude of building a union in Los Angeles County and in California. So those things happened on the watch of 1995 and are still going on today. Yes. One other thing that happened after I left, and I was replaced by Arlene Holt Baker, and then elections were held in 2009, and John Sweeney retired. Richard Trumka became president. But here's the thing. Not only did Richard Trumka become president of the National AFL-CIO, but the two officers that serve with him are women.
Yay!
Liz Schuler, a woman under 40.
Awesome.
And then, of course, Arlene Holt Baker remains as the executive vice president. She's an African American. So not only are we pushing for diversity, it's almost like demanding that unions look at diversity, making sure that there is gender equality in their unions, making sure that they promote and hire more women, making sure that they promote and hire more people of color into these positions. Because guess what? People will want to join unions. People will want to join unions if they see their faces at the top leadership of those unions. And time and time again, if the unions pay attention to that, you're going to attract the membership. And I think over the years, I'm very proud that I was able to help with those programs with constituency groups like the Coalition of Labor Union Women, Pride at Work that represents our LGBT community, the A. Philip Randolph Institute, the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, the Labor Council for Latin American Advancement, the Asian Pacific Labor Alliance. All of these 6 constituency groups of the AFL-CIO have brought more leadership into play, and their voices are now being heard. So the National AFL-CIO did change, not just because I was the one elected, but because we made sure that we began to change the policies and attract these young leaders to the fight that we all have to fight.
And it has worked, even though we got some new figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. One of the statistics they did not give us is the rate at which different people are joining union. There are more women today joining unions than there are men. And there are more people of color joining unions today than there are men, than there are Caucasians. So that's a big change in the labor movement right there. The biggest change of all that I think you made, Sister Linda Chavez-Thompson, is that the AFL-CIO put the word out that we are for all workers. We are not just a little narrow interest group that wants to get a little bit more money for people that are already making more money than everybody else, but rather that we are kicking for the interests of all workers. And one of the ways that came out most dramatically, just in the past week, is the way the AFL-CIO is getting behind immigration reform. Is that not true?
Well, let me tell you something. Had it not been for the leadership of John Sweeney and Richard Trumka, now, if you take a look at me, all 5 foot of me. I'm brown. I speak Spanish. I'm the granddaughter of immigrants here in Texas, so almost anybody would automatically know what my position is on immigration. But I told John and I told Richard that the fact that they, and of course they too are children and grandchildren of immigrants as well, that if it were not for the leadership that they exhibited in addressing this issue on immigration. In 2000, when we started to do town hall meetings to change the mind of people on the issue of immigration, this issue would not be at the top, and this would not be a position that the AFL-CIO had taken, because people would know, like I said, I automatically was for the change, but it took people. People that would say, look at me, I'm the grandson, or I'm the son of an immigrant father or mother, etc. And changes should be made to something that is hurting workers here. Because what you're looking at is, as long as employers can mistreat, abuse, deny working rights to immigrants in this country, everybody suffers in this country.
They bring us all down.
They have no rights as undocumented immigrants. And I know more about this issue, and here's a plug for somebody. And that's somebody who does immigration work here in Dallas, Texas, and that's my sister, Marty Alvarado. She sometimes just breaks my heart when she tells me the stories of the people that come to her for help, and many of them, unfortunately, that she cannot help. But for everyone she cannot help, she helps 10 others. But the issue of immigration is so much about families, so much about mistreatment, so much about sexual harassment, sexual attacks that some women don't report because they're afraid of losing their jobs, or they're afraid to let the husband know, and he might get in trouble for defending what happened to his wife or his girlfriend, etc. But the issue of immigration is so important, and I am so honored that the National AFL-CIO continues to fight this fight, continues to put it at the top of the agenda, and guess what? That is going to gain us new union members and revive many of our movements across this country, because people are going to say AFL-CIO was there, AFL-CIO helped make it happen, and I could not be more honored with that legacy that the AFL-CIO changed its mind in 2000 and began to support the issue on immigration reform.
Yeah, I've been making a big deal all through this hour. I think it's because I'm trying to impress Bonnie, but I've been making a big deal here that you're the first woman to break through the glass ceiling and become a top leader of the AFL-CIO. But you're also the first Latina.
Yes. And let me tell you something. I had so much fun because one of the favorite things that I used to tell people when I was traveling around the country, I speak 3 languages. You know that, Gene, don't you?
What are they?
The English, Spanish, and don't get me mad. Those 3 things I have learned really well, and especially the don't get me mad, because when you get me mad, you're on the wrong side of me, and you better watch out.
Okay. And on this immigration issue, we talked a little bit about how, the injustice of what's going on, but the other thing is, it's just dollars and cents. If the employers can hire somebody that they can abuse, that they can mistreat, that they can underpay, or that they can cheat of their wages, that's what they're going to do. Employers will always take the cheapest work that they can get. And consequently, what we have to do if we want to stop them from doing that and quit bringing down everybody's wages is we have to organize everybody.
Organize.
And so many unions are getting that now, and it wasn't like that before 1995.
Let me tell you something. You know, the ones that are really changing the face of labor and changing their minds on this immigration issue is the building trades.
The iron workers.
The iron workers union, the painters union, the sheet metal workers, the plumbers and pipe fitters, they all have younger leadership, Latinos, African Americans working for them. The Texas Building and Construction Trades Council just was honored in Austin, Texas, for working with the Workers' Defense Project in Austin for the right for all construction workers to get a decent wage in Austin, Texas, and that there no longer will be this pulling and tugging to hire cheaper undocumented workers to do construction work. They now have passed it to where any project in Austin that is funded by any kind of city funds or county funds will pay a prevailing wage to whatever worker is there, be that an undocumented worker or not. And what the different building trade unions are doing is they're signing them up. They're going to have rights as non-documented or undocumented. And I cannot tell you how proud I am of Mike Cunningham, because Mike Cunningham, at the head of the Texas Building Trades and Construction, is doing this, and I just I'm telling you, I'm just so proud today. I keep using that word, proud, and the building trades is showing the way, and it's happening across Texas, and it's happening across the country.
People think of the building trades as being the more conservative part of the union movement, and they were before 1995.
They were.
There's no question about it.
But younger people have taken over.
They saw the handwriting on the wall, and they realized that it's a dollars and cents question of organizing everybody or just sinking backward toward the lowest wage possible.
Exactly.
So organizing everybody is the new mantra for the unions since 1995. And Michael Cunningham, as you said, the head of the building trades, is being honored around the nation for the work he's done. It's not just in Austin. The Workers' Defense Project is here in Dallas too, and the progressive members of the building trades, particularly the iron workers, are out working in the community, organizing everybody that works, whether they have papers or not. And that's a good example for the rest of us.
We need to be careful. I don't want to give Mike Cunningham a
don't give him a big head.
Yeah,
well,
we don't want him to get a swelled head here. But
could you ask him to come to Dallas?
A big shout out to Mike Cunningham. He is doing a terrific job, and give him hell, Mike.
That's right.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
Tell you all a story that's close to me. The worker who's leaning on a bended knee, soiled and tattered in search of relief, fighting for some unspoken belief.
Recycle Revolution is a local recycling collection service and community drop-off center. They collect and accept all traditional recyclables, including paper, plastic, aluminum, cardboard, and glass, as well as materials like TVs, computers, lamps, light bulbs, batteries, ballast, and styrofoam. They offer collection services to apartments, condos, and businesses. They also offer a community drop-off located at 1703 Chestnut Street in Dallas. For more information, 214-566-3025 or recyclerevolutiondallas.com.
Wake up in the morning at 4:45. The alarm clock is relentless.
For goodness sakes alive. We're on the Workers Beat. It's 972-647-1893. If you'd like to call and make a comment, Bonnie Mathias from the Communication Workers is here, and Linda Chavez-Thompson of American Federation of County, Municipal, and State Workers.
AFSCME for 25 years and 12 years with the AFL-CIO and 4 years with the Laborers International Union, and I spent 40 years of my life in the labor movement, and somehow or another they didn't get the message that I had retired.
Yeah, you're supposed to be sitting around under
I'm supposed to be sleeping late on Saturday morning, so what am I doing here with you, Jim Lantz?
Because you can't give up the workers' cause.
You're dedicated.
Because you love this workers' cause. That's what it is. 972-647-1893. This is your opportunity, brothers and sisters, to make a comment or ask a question of Linda Chavez-Thompson, who is not only record-breaking, groundbreaking union leader in American labor history, but still doing it, still working. She's still working with retirees, for example, and working with the labor movement in all kinds of different ways to help. And it's really outstanding. We're really honored to have Linda Chavez-Thompson with us today. Now I want to talk a little bit about women in the labor movement, because prior to your breakthrough in 1995, women in the labor movement were relegated to the less important jobs, were they not?
Secretary, treasurer, and
recording secretary especially. They always looked for a woman to do that job.
Can you take notes?
Even though
Bonnie, you got it right.
My wife got on the.
You got it right, sister.
My wife got on the women's committee as soon as we got in the UAW Local 848, and she found out that the discussion, the first meeting, was what kind of dresses they should get. They wanted to have little short skirts and uniforms, kind of like flight attendants, and they were in charge of coffee at meetings. So they wanted to do a good job of bringing the men coffee at these meetings, and she was so furious.
When I married my second husband, he was president of the ATU, and he invited me to go to the auxiliary for the ATU, and I did. I was the youngest person there. And when they started talking about a fashion show and they started talking about all this stuff, I told my husband, I said, you better divorce me right now, because I will not attend any of those meetings ever again, because they're planning menus and they're planning what kind of dresses. And I said, that is not me.
Now, I want to make the point that was a long, long time ago.
It was, yeah.
Yep.
Since then, we've had a woman in the top rungs of leadership, and more women following her. And we see women taking over as union presidents. We see them running central labor councils. We see them running jobs with justice. And a caller wants to know if the Halliburton plant has any unions. Does anybody know if Halliburton has any unions?
I don't think so. They're very anti-union. They're very, unfortunately, some of the employers have now gotten a little bit smarter. They're paying a little bit better wages. They're putting up some good benefits, and with that, they're telling employees you don't need a union. So Halliburton is probably one of the the folks that practices anti-union tactics more than anyone else.
There are some companies that are generally thought of as worse than others, and one of them, of course, is Walmart. And thank goodness that we have a good drive to organize Walmart that's going on right now. You can catch up on that on my website, labordallas.org, and get involved in the Walmart struggle. And other struggles, because it's always a struggle in the labor movement.
Yes, it is.
But we have some women that really do deserve honor as we look back. Ella Mae Wiggins, for example. I had an actress on this show impersonating Ella Mae Wiggins, and she was wonderful, because Ella Mae Wiggins just stole my heart as soon as I read her story.
Dolores Huerta is another name that comes up readily, because she was a co-founder of the United Farm Workers of America with Cesar Chavez, but somehow or another people kind of forgot about that.
Sure.
It was a sacrifice of both of these individuals that built this union, and of course there's very few buildings and streets and schools that are named after her, but I'll tell you what, she struggled just as hard and more having babies. She had 11 children, and yet throughout those pregnancies, throughout all that time, she was doing the dance backwards thing
in high heels,
and in high heels. Wow. And Dolores Huerta is still active. She's 83 years old. She came to San Antonio this past year, and let me tell you something. She's still knocking on doors. She's still putting forums together to make sure that the voices of workers and the voices of Latinos and the voices of women are heard in America today.
Dolores Huerta lives in California. How are we going to get her in North Texas? We've got to get her.
You can get her. I've got telephone contacts, so see me after the show.
Yeah, well, we need to get Dolores Huerta. There's no question about that. I've seen her a couple of times because she's still active. She's still helping the labor movement every chance that she gets.
She is hell on wheels. She's hell on wheels.
That's great.
And there's no better living example than Dolores Huerta. I knew about her for a long time because I was an admirer and a supporter of the farm workers, even back long before I had a chance to be a union member myself. But the thing that really got me was when the San Francisco police took her down and kicked her and broke 3 of her ribs, and she weighed less than 100 pounds.
Well, one of the things that happened from that is she sued them. She won. And with the money that she won, you would think that she was going to go on vacation and just take life easy after that. But she then formed the Dolores Huerta Foundation with that money and continues to use fundraising all across the country, which she came to San Antonio and we helped her to do fundraising there, because her foundation continues to teach young leaders to do the same thing that Dolores Huerta was doing some 40 some odd years ago.
I wonder if people in the KNON audience know other union leaders or labor leaders, outstanding women that deserve some credit and need to be mentioned. For example, Rosa Walker. We saw Rosa Walker on January 5th at our Alliance for Retired Americans convention. Wow. She was there. She's got a long history in Texas labor and is looked up to by everyone.
Well, we have the first woman president of the Texas AFL-CIO, and that is Becky Moeller. And let me tell you something. I'm glad she's my friend. I do not want to be on the other side of Becky Moeller ever.
Which one of you is taller?
I think I'm taller.
You're the giant.
I'm the giant
at 5 feet tall. But I'll tell you, I wouldn't. If Becky was in the room, I wouldn't want to say that she was shorter than anybody else.
No, let's just say
she is a giant of Texas labor.
Yes,
I can't think of anybody in the whole history of Texas labor that's been out there like Becky. This is a grandmother, and she's out with her son. She's out with Occupy. She's out with Move On. She's out with every union that needs her.
I will say that I've admired all of the presidents of the Texas AFL-CIO ever since I've been involved, since the early 70s, Hank Brown being the first one that I ever knew. But I will tell you this, Becky gets in there and mixes it up, because she's the first one that I've seen actively do an outreach program to community, to outside groups of the Texas AFL-CIO, strengthens the labor movement in Texas, and for that I'm very proud that Becky has done that. And I can't begin to tell you the other programs that she's active And of course, the worst thing she's done is just continue to ask me to do things for her and put me out there speaking and marching and doing all the stuff that I thought I was going to retire from. But I do it, and I do it without complaint because Becky is there. And I mean, she'll travel the state of Texas to make sure that Texas is strong. And I think this 10% increase in membership kind of shows some of the effect that she's had.
Absolutely.
And Becky is not only, I think she said the first woman president of the Texas AFL-CIO, but she's also vice president of the Southern Region for the AFL-CIO, if I'm not mistaken.
She sits at all the national meetings of the AFL-CIO, and believe me, she is a voice that is heard, is respected, and she's not shy like I am.
I'm proud of her for being such a labor leader at the top levels.
Yes.
But even more proud that I've picketed with her. That I've been on the line with her because she's out there with her whatever little handmade sign that they can get. You know, she does not sit in the office and wait for good things to happen.
But there are many unsung
Yes,
heroes in the women's movement. You know, the Bonnies of this world.
Oh, thank you.
And the Joan Suarez.
Got one in the room with us.
Got one in the room. When you give up your family life, when you get the guilty looks and the guilty comments that from your children that you're not around and that you love the union more than you love me, and why didn't you come to my recital or come to my game or whatever it is. Women suffer a little bit more because we're supposed to be the caregivers, we're supposed to take care of our families, etc. And when they shoot at you like that, it breaks your heart, and sometimes, occasionally, it'll break your spirit. But we have the heroes like Bonnie, like Becky, like Joan Suarez, like Rosa Walker, so many women who have sacrificed themselves, and sometimes they've gotten the brickbats for it. You know,
and going all the way back to slavery days, we've had women warriors who were leaders of the workers' movement, like Sojourner Truth, for example. And locally here, there's a woman that I'd like to call attention to, even though nobody knows the first thing about Jane Elkins. All we have is the transcript for her trial, where she was on trial for murdering her owner back in 1853 in Dallas, and she was the first woman hanged. I believe that Jane Elkins should get some attention because they don't even mention why she decided to put the man down.
Why she beat him to death with his own axe.
Yeah, with his own axe. But nevertheless, there are unsung heroes.
We don't advocate that. Okay?
No, we don't advocate that. Please, don't.
Well, if you're enslaved,
don't try
if you're enslaved and your master rapes you, I recommend you take action of some kind. By any means necessary.
Probably not killing him with his own axe. That's probably not the answer.
Well, not in normal society, but this is not slavery days.
No, then I think...
But you know, Jean, it's happening today.
Yes, it is.
We're talking enslaved, non-documented or undocumented immigrants who are sexually abused, who are slaves in the homes of people, and they don't get paid. The Linda Chavez, the other Linda Chavez in this world, that was denied her position as Secretary of Labor under George Bush, the second George Bush. She had an undocumented worker working for her, living in her home, taking care of her children without paying her taxes, etc. She was knocked out of that contention. So you have that happening today in this society. You have enslaved immigrant women enslaved with prostitution.
And we're not talking about Los Angeles or something. We're talking about everywhere.
We're talking Texas. We're talking Houston. We're talking Dallas. We're talking San Antonio. We're talking that everywhere that is happening today.
There are gangs.
We digress. We digress, and we.
Well, I don't think we're digressing at all. I think that the plight of women should be the major concern for all workers, because, as I was saying a while ago, if the employer can find somebody that they can abuse, that they can cheat of their wages, that they can pay lower, that they can take away their health care, then they're going to hire that person.
Yep.
That's the person they're going to go to and bring down your wages.
It's easier.
So everybody should get on the program. It's all of us or none of us.
That's it.
Well, Jean, let me just say one thing, and I know you're going to wind up in a little while. Let me just say one thing. My being here was not by accident. I know you invited me, but I will tell you that the first one who thought of, gee, you're going to be in town for a family event, why don't I check with Gene Lantz and see if you can get on the program?
Mm-hmm.
And that was my sister Marty. But let me just say this. The job you're doing here, this 1 hour, if it reaches 5 people or 50 or 500, and someone takes the message that you give them to heart and says, maybe I can make a difference, maybe I can do something, maybe I should participate at more union meetings, maybe I should go help out a nonprofit or whatever they decide to do. If it helps Gene, your work has been done and your legacy will be left for other people to talk about, especially after we're long gone. But if it does that, then you've accomplished something with your voice through this radio station, through this program. The work that you're doing is absolutely phenomenal. I applaud you for it, and I'm so proud and so glad to be here with you. God, I keep using that word proud. I got to stop being proud. But anyway, I am proud. But the point here, though, is this program that reaches out and that touches people and makes changes in their lives and helps them realize that one person can make some changes, one person can contribute, one person can make a difference in another person's life. If that's all you're going to be doing from now on, I will stand with you, I will help you, I will do whatever you need me to do, whether I'm in town or out of town. Just ask, I will be there.
That's Linda Chavez-Thompson, brothers and sisters, the woman who broke the glass ceiling in the labor movement, not only for women, but also for Latinos, and is continuing setting an example for all of us, because she jokes about retiring, but the fact is that her phone was ringing when she got home the first day that she was supposedly retired, that it was people calling right away saying, can we get Linda Chavez-Thompson to come? Can she speak? They weren't offering her millions of dollars either. They were saying, will you just come? She gets paid the same amount that Bonnie and I do.
That's right.
For doing this radio program.
We're making the big bucks, folks.
Yeah. Raking it in, right?
Raking it in, yeah.
Which is zero. In fact, KNON's whole staff here is working for nothing, and that includes Annie, who's running everything. Thank you so much for Annie, who's cheering us up and cheering us on.
That's right.
Every Saturday. We're not getting paid, brothers and sisters. We are here because we believe in what we're doing, because we love this union cause, and because we love this labor cause, and because we love you. Go ahead.
One
Go ahead,
philosophy that I have, and I don't know that I can say this over the radio, I'll try to clean it up a little bit, is that now that I'm retired, when I worked as a union leader in the public employee sector, you had to be very careful about how you couldn't tell a politician what you really thought of him or her, okay? Because that person still had a vote on the issues you needed to have addressed. So you had to walk the eggshells. When I got to the National AFL-CIO, I said, yes, I am going to be all-powerful. I am going to do this and that. And I would go to John Sweeney with the most terrific ideas in the whole wide world. And he would say, okay, Linda, that's wonderful, but we have to vet this. We have to talk to this union, and we have to talk to that union. And you really just have to be on message. And the message was clear. I couldn't go out there and say anything I wanted to say.
Right.
When I retired,
you can.
I said to myself, what is this free to say anything feeling that I have? And so I make speeches all over the country. I still get asked to come and speak, and because I was vice chair of the party, I would do that as well. But I tell people one of my favorite lines is, I'm retired, I don't have a boss, I don't give a blank, okay? And I tell them, what are they going to do? Those pension checks and that Social Security check is coming into my account. They can't take it away from me, so I can say anything that I want. And when I said that to John Sweeney, he looked at me, he hadn't retired yet, and he looked at me, he says, because I told him, I said, John, I am in the most powerful position in life that I've ever had. I can say anything, I can do anything, I can just sit on my little hiney and not go do anything. Yet, when they ask me to go out there, I tell them, Don't expect to hear what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you don't want to hear. And I have had so much freedom. And I think for the most part, when we retire, the freedom to say and do what we want to do and say is powerful. And I love it. I love it. Any retiree who's listening to us today and isn't out there mobilizing about the loss, the possible loss of Social Security benefits, the possible loss of Medicare, Medicaid for those that are the voiceless and the ones who have no power, if we're not out there doing something about that and so many other workers' rights, etc., shame on you. That's right. Help us do something.
All right, that's Linda Chavez-Thompson. And Bonnie, you want to say goodbye?
Get up, get out, and get involved.
Right on. Thanks, Bonnie. This is the Workers' Beat. Gene Lantz. We'll be back next week.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227. Or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.